Jedi lightsabers and Sith lightsabers have a lot in common, but they also have quite a few differences as well. So let's go over some of those similarities and differences between Jedi lightsabers and Sith lightsabers. And by the way, just for simplicity's sake, I'm going to refer to lightsaber hilts that belong to light side characters as Jedi Hilts and dark side characters as Sith Hilts. Now, I understand some of the characters that use, these hilts are maybe not technically Sith. It makes it a little easier to talk about it, so I'm kind of putting them all in that same bucket. And feel free to comment below about that and anything else that we may talk about in this video. But let's kind of get started. So in a way, it's easier to kind of put your finger on to pinpoint what makes something a dark side hilt. So here are several Sith hilts right here. And, one of the first things you might notice is the dark coloring. So that's something that often stands out with Sith hilts, is they're very dark in color. They use a lot of black and sometimes some gray. So you see that with the Darth Vader hilt, the Kylo Ren hilt, and then this Asajj Ventress hilt over here. It's a little bit more gray, but it's definitely got a lot of black elements to it as well. Now, that's not to say that black, makes a hilt of a Sith hilt, but it's just a common feature. I mean, you can have some hilts that use quite a bit of black, like this Obi-Wan Kenobi style hilt over here has a lot of black incorporated into it, but that doesn't mean that Obi-Wan Kenobi is a dark side character. He's certainly not. But at any rate, a lot of the Sith lightsaber hilts do use black, so that's a pretty easy visual cue in a way. Now, another thing about the kind of Sith lightsaber hilts is, they'll typically be a more unusual design. So this is generally speaking, you guys, but a lot of Jedi characters will use a more kind of standard lightsaber that is just, a single hilt with a blade, single straight hilt actually with a blade. That's pretty common for Jedi users. Now, again, there are exceptions to this, but it's more common for a lot of especially the marquee kind of Star Wars villains to use these sort of more unusual designed hilts. So, like the Kylo Ren crossguard hilt, for example, you have the double-bladed Darth Maul lightsaber. You have the Asajj Ventress curved hilt, double-bladed curved hilt. Lots of stuff like that. And so that can be kind of a distinguishing feature of, a Sith or a dark side character. They can just use a more unusual design for their lightsaber hilt. Now, on the flip side with the Jedi, so a lot of times a Jedi's lightsaber hilt will be a little brighter. It'll have a little bit more of kind of a metallic color to it, more of that coloring than black. But again, that's not a hard and fast rule. It's much harder to pinpoint what makes something more of a Jedi hilt than a Sith hilt. I should make one more point about the Sith hilts, actually. Sith hilts can also be a bit more jagged in design, feel a little bit more raw in their design. Like the Count Dooku hilt, for example, has that claw at the top. You can also have other clawed emitters, kind of sharp things jutting out of the hilt of a Sith hilt. So it's a little bit more animalistic and that type of thing with a Sith hilt. So that's another pretty common thing. Now, back to the Jedi hilts. So, a lot of them are more metallic silver in color, and they're also a bit more smoothed over, a little friendlier. They're not as menacing. I mean, maybe it's kind of cliche to use the word menace, when talking about anything with Star Wars, but a lot of these dark side hilts, these Sith hilts, are more menacing. They're meant to be very imposing and threatening to somebody seeing them. Whereas, the Jedi hilts, they're supposed to indicate, even without seeing the character, just by seeing the hilt, you want kind of a sense of openness of like, this is from a protector, this is from one of the good guys or, good girls. So some of that is through just a smoother, friendlier design, fewer things kind of sticking out of it. But, you know, there can be things like we have, you know, the bunny ears on the graphic style lightsabers. That's something that's sticking out, but it's not the same as having like a claw or talon on the hilt either. It's not quite as menacing. Even the name isn't very menacing. Bunny ears. I mean, bunnies are very cute and adorable, and they're definitely not a predator animal. But anyway, so yeah, it really is a little bit harder to pin down what makes something a Jedi style lightsaber. But, you know, anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'm sure some of you will come up with some excellent reasons, excellent ways to distinguish a Jedi hilt from a Sith hilt, but, you know, at the same time, there's going to be a lot of overlap. Probably one of my favorite things to compare is just, you know, the Anakin Skywalker style lightsaber to the Darth Vader style lightsaber, because you can kind of see the evolution. You know, the base of the lightsaber looks the same. The Darth Vader one has this extra kind of black stuff added to it, and that shows that, you know, it's kind of a visual cue that he's turned to the dark side. Even his lightsaber has become darker in color. And we did see something similar with Kylo Ren as well. So this is the Kylo Ren crossguard lightsaber. And if you saw that, you know, we have those very small clips of Ben Solo using a lightsaber. And it looks very similar to this, except the hilt is, you know, kind of a metallic silver in color rather than black. And it's not a crossguard, you know, it's just kind of a standard lightsaber without, you know, too many bells and whistles. So that is something we'll see sometimes with some characters where they start out as a Jedi or Jedi in training and they turn to the dark side, and you can kind of see the evolution in the design of their hilt. So that's kind of a cool thing to see as well. But again, feel free to comment below, you guys. What do you think is the difference between a Jedi lightsaber hilt and a Sith lightsaber hilt?